Hey folks, how we doing? Mr. Carter here, ready to help you with Fluency and Skills Practice, Lesson 18.1. So go ahead and put your name on this if you haven't yet, and let's begin. So this one is asking you to, it's saying using common denominators, numerators and denominators to compare fractions. So I'm going to show you that strategy on this homework sheet. There's many different strategies you could use to try to find, how to that will help you compare fractions. But this one today we're going to do common numerators and denominators. So it's asking you again, compare the fractions right, less than, greater than, or equal to for each of these. Okay. So our first one is 3/4 and 3/8. Well, we don't have to do anything different here because we already have our common numerator, and that is 3. Right, so we have a 3 over here in this numerator, a 3 over here in this numerator. So now all we have to do is think about what that means for fourths and what that means for eighths. So I have a visual here, and I have some fraction bars to help you visualize that. So here, as you can see, we have 3/8, and an eighth is smaller than a fourth, right? Because if I had, let's say, a pizza and I was cutting it into 8 slices, and another pizza that I would cut into 4 slices, the slices that are eighths are smaller. So coming back to our question, fourths are bigger, right, than eighths. So in this case, if we have 3/4 and 3/8. We have 3, let's say, slices of pizza in each case, but here the slices are bigger, right? So that means that 3/4 is greater than 3/8. All right, so let's look at our next one, which is number 2. Hold on a second. Yeah, so number 2. So 2/3 and 4/5. Now for this one, I'm going to do the common either numerator or denominator for this one. So we are comparing 2/3 and 4/5. So what we're going to do is I'm just looking at this, and I know, because I know my multiplication facts pretty well, that I can go from 2 to 4 pretty easily. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to turn this fraction into a numerator that has 4. So I'm going to take my 2/3, and I'm multiplying the top by 2 to get 4. And then again, what we do to the top, we got to do to the bottom. So we're multiplying the bottom by 2, and that would get me 6. So now, instead of saying 2/3, we could say 4/6, okay, because those are equivalent. And now that makes this easier to compare because we have a numerator that is the same. So again, thinking about pizzas, right? So I have 4 slices of pizza in each case, but this pizza is cut into 6 slices, and this pizza is cut into 5 slices. So this pizza with the 6 slices is smaller, right? So if I have 4 of those, this 4/6 will be less than 4/5, which means that 2/3 is less than 4/5. All right, so let's go back to our sheet and put that in. So again, 2/3 is less than 4/5. Now I want to take out this tool because we've been using this in class, and I wanted to kind of talk about it. So again, we can use this to check our work. So on here we can find where 2/3 is, and this again is just a reference chart to show you where the fractions are in regards to each other, which one's lower, or the smallest fraction and the largest fraction. So in this case we're looking for 2/3. And I see 2/3 over here, and then we're looking for 4/5, and I see 4/5 over here. So as you can see, 2/3 is less than 4/5. So we can use this reference chart to help us check our work. So we're going to do that periodically through this video. All right, so our next one, number 3, let me zoom in, is 1/5 and 2/10. So again, we're going to use either common numerator or denominator to solve that. Okay, so here's what we have here. All right, so we are comparing 1/5 with 2/10. All right, so again, we can do a common numerator or denominator with this one. All right. Since I did numerator last time, let's do denominator. So I'm going to take this fraction, 1/5, and I'm going to turn it into a fraction with tenths. So I know that 5, so I'm going to take my 1/5, put it down here, and I know that 5 times 2 will get me 10. So I'm going to go 5 times 2, and that's 10. And again, what we do to the bottom, we got to do to the top. So we're going to multiply the top by 2. So 1 times 2 is 2. Well, look at that. Okay, so again, what we can do is say, all right, this is no longer 1/5, but rather it's 2/10. And look at that. They are equivalent. They are equal because 2/10 obviously is the same fraction as 2/10. So these two are equal. Put that on our sheet. 1/5 is equal to 2/10. And again, if we want to take our reference chart, okay, you can see here, yeah, we have 1/5 and 2/10. They're right on the same line, so these are equivalent fractions. All right, so let's look at number 4. Right, so number 4, we're comparing 2/10 and 23/100. Right, so again, we're going to use, again, common numerators or common denominators for that. So again, if we start with 2/10, and again, we're comparing it to 23/100. All right, focus here. All right, so I, again, can see that we're going to have to do denominator for this one because there's nothing times 2 that'll get me 23, right? Because 23 is an odd number. So we're going to have to change this tenths into 100. So we're going to take, again, 2/10, and I know that 10 times 10 will get me 100. So we're going to go 10 times 10. And there we go. We have hundredths. Whatever we do to the bottom, we got to do to the top. So I'm going to multiply the top by 10. 2 times 10 is 20. So now we have 20 hundredths. So instead of saying 2/10, we can say 20 hundredths. And now again, we have a common denominator. It makes it easy to compare. So I see, again, pizzas or chocolate bars, whatever you want to call it, cut into 100 slices. All right. So if you have 20 slices of that pizza that's cut into 100, you're going to have less pizza than you would if you would have 23 slices of that pizza that's cut into 100. So 20 hundredths is less than 23 hundredths. So that means 2/10 is less than 23 hundredths. All right, so let's do that over here. So 2/10 again is less than 23 hundredths. And we can't use our reference chart to check it because our reference chart doesn't go up to hundredths. It only goes up to twelfths. So we can't check it. But yes, it is correct. 2/10 is less than 23 hundredths. All right, let's look at our next one. 7/8 and 3/4. Okay, so again, we're going to use a common either numerator or denominator. So 7/8, 3/4. Now, so this is like the larger numbers are on the left, so we're going to have to divide this time. So I know that we can't divide 7 by anything and get 3. But what I do know is that we can take an 8 divided by 2 to get 4. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so I'm going to change this into a fraction with a denominator of 4. So again, 7/8. All right, so divided by 2. There we go. We have our denominator of 4. Whatever we do to the bottom, we've got to do to the top. Wait a minute. this won't work because we can't take 7 and divide it by 2. Wow. So for this one, we're going to have to go right to our reference chart because this one doesn't work. So as you can see, folks, sometimes using the common denominator in this case doesn't always work out. Because again, 7 divided by 2 would be 3.5, and we don't really write fractions like that. We don't do that. Okay, so let's go to our reference chart. So over here, I'm looking for 7/8 and 3/4. So, 7/8. Well, I found 3/4 over here, so that's where 3/4 is. Let's see where 7/8 is. Let's see 7/9. Let's see. Oh, there we go. There's 7/8. So 3/4 is less than 7/8. Right. So that answers our question. So that means 7/8 is greater than 3/4. And another way to think about it is looking at a number line. So this one is a little bit unique in a way if we did it at a number line. So if we had 7/8, so let's put this, make 2 number lines here. So if I made 8ths and 4ths, so I'm going to make 8ths up here. So here's, when I cut it in half, I can cut it in half again and get, oops, and get 4ths, right? And then if I cut those 4ths in half again, I will get 8ths. Right, so this is 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, which is half, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, okay? Now, here we're going to do 4ths. So this is, again, our half point. I'm going to cut the half in half and get 4ths. So this would be 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, right? So now, each of these, so we're comparing 7/8 and 3/4, they're one fraction away from being a whole. So if I was to put a whole here, this would be 8/8, and this would be 4/4. Each of these is one fraction away from being a whole. So 1/8 away from being a whole and 1/4 away from being a whole. But as you can see, 7/8, the 1/8 is smaller, so it's closer to the whole than a 4th, right? Than the 3/4. So 7/8 again is greater than 3/4. So sometimes if you look at it that way, that might help you too. All right, so I'm going to have you work on 6 through 15 on your own. Try different strategies. Use common numerators or common denominators if that helps you. Use this reference card here, this reference chart, if that'll help you if you're stuck, you know. Draw a picture, maybe draw number lines. It's another strategy to help you solve this. So go ahead and figure those out, and we'll be back, and we'll go over the answers. All right, welcome back. So for number 6, 7/12 is less than 5/6. Okay, so that's that. Number 7, 10/12 is equal to 5/6, and that one is easy to kind of talk it through because we can multiply the top and the bottom by 2. That'll get us 10/12, not 10/10, 10/12, right? So again, these are equal. 53 out of 100 is greater than 1/2. So again, I can think about it using the benchmark half. Well, I know that 50 hundredths would equal half. So if we have 3 more hundredths, so 53 hundredths would be greater than a half. 2/8 is less than 9/12. 1/6 is less than 3/12. 4/5 greater than 77 hundredths. 1/3 is less than 5/12. 1/4 is greater than 2/12. 9/10 is equal to 90/100, and 2/3 is greater than 3/6. Okay. So number 16 was asking you to show a model to check number 12. So number 12 was 1/3 and 5/12. So I drew my 1/3, and it's again a bar that is the same size. As you can see, I started at the same spot, ended at the same spot. And it's split into thirds. This one is split into 12ths. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, and then I colored in 5 of them. Now, as you can see, okay, 5/12 is just barely bigger than 1/3. All right, so if you got any of these wrong up here, go back and check your work. Again, see where you made your mistake. And if you're still confused, come and see your teacher, and they can help you out through that. All right, hope this was helpful, and take care.